destroyed after Noah, and sufficient is your Lord as an all-knower and all-beholder of the sins of his slaves. Together with these verses, there were others revealed to show the Muslims the rules and items of the civilization upon which they could erect their Muslim community, and foreshadowing their ownership of a piece of land, exercising full freedom over it and establishing a coherent society around whose axis the whole humanity would rotate. Those verses in reality implied better prospects for the Prophet, comprising a secure shelter to settle in, and headquarters safe enough to empower and embolden him to communicate his message to all the world at large. That was in fact the inner secret of that blessed journey. For this very wisdom and the like we deem it appropriate to suggest that the night journey took place either for the first pledge of Aqaba or between the two. After all, Allah knows best. The first Aqaba pledge. We have already spoken about 6 Madinis who embraced Islam in the pilgrimage season in the 11th year of prophethood. They promised to communicate the message of Islam to their townsfolk. The following year, on the occasion of the pilgrimage, there came to a group of 12 disciples, ready to acknowledge Muhammad as their prophet. The group of men comprised 5 of the 6 who had met the prophet the year before. The 6th who stayed away was Jabir bin Abdullah bin Riyam. The other 7 were they avowed their faith in Muhammad as a prophet and swore, we will not worship anyone but one Allah. We will not steal, neither will we commit idolatry, nor kill our children. We will not utter slander intentionally, forging falsehood, and we will not disobey you in any just matter. When they had taken the pledge, Muhammad said, he who carries it out, Allah will reward him, and who neglects anything and is afflicted in this world, it may prove redemption for him in the hereafter. And if the sin remains hidden from the eyes of the men, and no grief comes to him, then his affair is with Allah. He may forgive him or he may not. The Muslim envoy in Medina. After the pledge in the form of an oath had been taken, the Prophet sent to Yathrib, Medina, Musab, the first Muslim ambassador, to teach the people the doctrines of Islam, give them practical guidance, and make attempts at propagating the Islam among those who still professed polytheism. Hosted him in Medina. So prepared was the ground, and so zealous the propagation, that the Islam spread rapidly from house to house and from tribe to tribe. There were various cheerful and promising aspects of success that characterized Musab's task. One day Musab and Asad were on their way to the habitations of Bani. When they went into the premises of the latter clan, they sat near a well conversing with some new converts. Chiefs of the 2 clans heard of this meeting, so Usaid approached the Muslims armed with his lance, while the other Asad excused himself on the grounds that Asad was his maternal cousin. Uzayd came closer, cursing and swearing, and accused the two men of befooling people weak of heart, and ordered that they stop it altogether. Musab calmly invited him to sit, saying, "If you are pleased with our talk, you can accept it. Should you hold it in abhorrence, you could freely immunize yourself against what you hate." That's fair, said Uzayd, pierced his lance in the sand, listened to Musab, and then heard some verses of the noble Quran. His face bespoke satisfaction and pleasure. Before uttering any words of approval, he asked the two men about the procedures pertinent to embracing Islam. They asked him to observe washing, purge his garments, bear witness to the truth, and then perform the 2 rakah. He responded and did exactly what he was asked to do, and then said there was a man, Saad, whose people would never hang back if he followed the Islam. He then left to see Saad and his people. Saad could immediately understand that Uzayd had changed to a question posed by Saad. Uzayd said that 2 men were ready to comply with whatever orders they received. He then managed a certain situation that provided the 2 men with a chance to talk with Saad privately. The previous scene with Uzayd recurred, and Saad embraced Islam and directly turned to his people, swearing that he would never talk with them until they had believed in Allah and in his messenger. Hardly did the evening of the day arrive when all the men and women of the sept of Arabians embraced Islam, with the exception of one, Al-Usayrim, who hung back until the day of Uhud. On that day he embraced Islam and fought the polytheists, but was eventually killed before observing any prostration in the way of prayer. The Prophet commented, saying, "He has done a little, but his reward is great."